Obviously, you talked about the mental health impact and generally the impact that it had on you, on your play, on your general well-being. But how do you see this one resolve?
Well, obviously there's, people floating the L word lawsuit. I, I'm going to be honest and like I don't know if this will have repercussions. Like this is to me the least desirable option for many reasons, but it's very easy for like, Billy Bob or Pink or Elephant 29 on Twitch to say, "Oh, well, why haven't you like filed a defamation lawsuit?" Yeah, well, if you'd like to like help me file this international like defamation lawsuit, um, against someone who clearly has no issue spending 24 hours a day trying to attack me in every possible way, all right, be my guest. And whether or not there are grounds for it, like you have to weigh the pros and cons. I think people have a hard time with this. Like it might be the quote unquote right move, but I have no idea what that even entails. And I think it's essentially without precedent. Maybe you guys have some thoughts on this, but other than like I'm trying every other option. And obviously direct dialogue was extremely like undesirable for me, but I did even that because ultimately like I want him to shut the fuck up and like move on with his life and leave me alone. Like I did nothing to do that to deserve this or to provoke this in any way. Like he was accusing me of not standing up for him. Like that's your reason? Like that pisses me off more than anything. Like if I was, a loud mouth and, I was defending like or like publicly calling him out, like I can somewhat understand like him getting pissed or someone who has like clear emotional problems getting pissed. But I was literally minding my own business and like playing Blitz and doing my speed run and staying out of it. And this is how he comes after me. So like that's honestly like the most puzzling thing, which tells me that there's probably more to the story. But it's scary. I don't know how it's going to resolve itself. Like hopefully he wears himself out at some point. Um, but
Or finds a
it's
new
like at
target?
this finds a new target, but like, people are calling him out. Like the chat, a lot of people in the chess world are calling him out, and I appreciate the support greatly. I don't think I'm owed any support from anybody. I understand that this is a very nasty, dirty topic, and people have their own plates are full, but it's like he's a runaway train.
Yeah,
Fabi, do you have any
yeah.
thoughts on how this like will he eventually wear himself out? Clearly, he's got people working for him.
Well, I really don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on it. Like, yeah, my general impression was that um, yeah, it felt like too targeted. It felt like, okay, cheating is a general problem. You want to fight cheating. So the best way to do that is probably by speaking to organizations and trying to implement measures. I don't really know what just focusing on one player, even if you were correct, which I don't believe at all, uh, and just like kind of persistently going in this one direction, also without any progress being made. Like he basically admits that nothing will change his mind at this point, to the best of my understanding, and clearly what he's saying is not convincing to others, or to most others,
Do you
from my
feel
understanding.
perhaps that your direct interaction yesterday on Levitov has helped the cause, or do you think that it just fueled the fire for him
I think it
personally?
it un I think it's un I don't know if it fueled the fire, but at this point it was important for me first of all to reach some of the more skeptical Russian fans, and I think I did. And it was very important for me to get to go on record telling Kramnik that this is like three things. I am willing, perhaps even now, to answer legitimate good faith questions, any that you have remaining that I haven't answered thus far. That was answered with like, I will keep asking them until you answer in a way that satisfies me. And if I may read like just a quick excerpt, if that's okay, I don't want to hold you guys up too much. Um, what
Go
this
ahead.
is that okay or is that too irrelevant? Like,
Please go ahead.
um, so one of the techniques that was used in the Salem witch trials is you would ask the same question over and over again, right? Until like the person kept responding and responding. And, this is psychological torture, but eventually some like turn of phrase would be used to fuel the suspicions. And the other big technique that was used is, like you would get harassed and harassed. And then like the tiniest turn of phrase would be called a lie. And if you could be on record as a liar, then the accusations would make more sense. And he's doing both of those things verbatim. So 1692, June 10th, Bridget Bishop, she was a 20-year-old girl who was executed in the end. I'm reading from like the original document, like you can actually make out the writing and the transcript. So Bridget Bishop, you are now brought before the authority to give account of what witchcrafts you are conversant in. This is like 1600s text. She says, I take all this, people, to witness that I am clear. Hath this woman hurt you speaking to the afflicted? You are accused by 4 or 5 for hurting them. She says, I never saw these persons before, nor I never was in this place before. They say you are bewitched your first husband to death. I know nothing of it. Then she shakes her head. I am no witch. And then they keep asking. I have no familiarity with the devil. And then they ask for the 6th or 7th time. Again, she says, I'm innocent. Then for the 8th time, she says, I know nothing of witchcraft. I am innocent to being a witch. I know not what a witch is. And that's where they pounce. And the prosecutor says, how do you know then that you are not a witch and yet not know what a witch is? And she responds, I do not understand what you say. And he repeats, how can you know you are no witch and yet not know what a witch is? Like, how can you know the definition, not know the definition, but also know that you don't belong to the definition? And then later on, they catch her in like a quote unquote verbal lie that's totally meaningless. And I won't read more, but this is 1692, not 2022. And if you're doing something that they did before, like executing witches, then it's scary. And I'm not saying this to like, try to elicit sympathy. I think that's like a very improper way of arguing. Like you should depersonalize it. And I'd have less sympathy for myself if I was a cheater, but I'm not. It's not about that. It's about like, dude, like what you're doing is fucked up and medieval and very, very primitive. And it has led absolutely nowhere. And you're just going to redouble your efforts. Even after I told you, that's like the 3rd thing I told him, you're causing me like deep emotional harm that's turning into physical harm. So please stop. And I will continue like the good faith dialogue. And he like not only spits on that, but the very next day continues to engage in the same behavior. Like to me, I've given him enough chances, but I no longer have any respect for him as a person. And I've held out long enough and I've been polite for long enough, but this is like breached all acceptable boundaries, I think.